Peace, family, peace. We are now live. Let me send this text to my everybody in my on my community text message service. Text Rich to 646-760-7806. Family, if you want to be notified directly by me when we go live for the shows on a nightly basis, because a lot of times YouTube doesn't remember to remind my people for some reason. Part two, Dr. B Sirius. Welcome back, my brother.
Hey, brother, it's good to be here. It's good to see you. Good to
And
breathe,
yeah,
and I'm honored to be here again, brother.
indeed. Hey, by the way, did you get did you get the address I sent you to send the stuff to?
Yes, I did.
Okay, excellent,
Yes, I did.
excellent. We'll get into that stuff a little later. Right now, fam, we're gonna have a great show for you. I want you to hit the like button. Make sure you tell your friends and family that we are now live. We're gonna get to a few commercials and then we're gonna get started. It's gonna be a powerful show, family. So make sure you're comfortable, all right? Be right back.
Hey there! Had a bad dream? I have dreams too. Some parts are scary and some parts are fun. Always remind yourself, it's only a dream and everything will be okay. I had a dream about being in a forest too. Check it out, my pet Petey was with me. Order your copy of Kayla Petey and the Forest on Amazon.
Indeed, family. All right. Dr. B Serious, like I said, welcome back. Let me check out the chat room, make sure everybody's all right in the chat. All y'all all right? All right. Sandra Barkdale, Patricia Clinton. I see you, Patricia. What's up, Patricia? I think that's the sister that introduced me to Yaki Awaken. Peace to Patricia Clinton, if that's the I believe that's you. Peace to that sister right there. Everybody else in the chat, I see y'all. All right. Amanda Summer, everybody else. All right, let's get started. Dr. B Serious. Last time we was talking, we said we would do a part two, and you were gonna go in depth on this whole parasite thing. Now we're a complex organism. We're a complex being. We're more than just this one individual, as it seems to be. And it seems that our behaviors are oftentimes influenced by organism, entities, whatever you want to call it, inside of us. So you were having a discussion with me early on the phone about this parasite that we all need to be aware of. The military's aware of it, the governments are aware of it, and that we have no idea what's going on inside of us and what it's doing, wrecking havoc on us. So I'm gonna pass the floor to you, brother. I hope I let the people know, gave them time to get comfortable. We got almost 1,000 people, so that's enough for y'all. Dr. B Serious, what's going on with this parasite thing you keep telling me about when I talk to you?
Well, I'd like first to set the scene with a little background.
Yes.
Um, my study, since the early 1990s was basically herbs, nutrition, and in 1996 I had a experience, and I had what they call missing time. And since that experience, I had information in my head that I had not studied. Numbers, angles, equations, and things like that. And basically I had a breakdown. And I couldn't do anything. This just took over my life. I was writing numbers on my hands, and
wow.
It was, I literally had a breakdown. And it wasn't until I met a man named Dr. Kweku Ando. This was in 1996. Dr. Kweku Ando came to Los Angeles, and somebody let me know he was there, and I just was able to take whatever energy I had, because I couldn't eat, I couldn't think, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't see people, I couldn't hear sounds. Everything was affecting me to the point where I thought I had a nervous breakdown. I was gone. This was it,
Yeah.
They got me, one of those things.
Yeah.
But I went to go see Dr. Kweku Ando's lecture, and I figured he's one of the top botanists in the world. He's the man who brought moringa. Moringa. He brought moringa because he was a Dogon priest, a scientist on many levels. He even worked for Jimmy Carter, and different powerful people all over the world. And he had this information, from an African standpoint. So I went to go to the lecture, man, and I'm sitting there and I'm sweating and I'm still going through the heebie-jeebies because I'm basically in and out. And he starts showing a slide presentation. It's called I think it's called The Prophecy on the Wall of San Francisco. And on this wall, it is like a projection, kind of like they're drawings on this wall that's like 2 stories high, 2 miles long, about the history of life on the planet Earth.
It's still there to this day?
No, it disappeared. And I'm looking at this, and he's talking about these symbols, and they're breaking it down. And until just the other day, by the way, this is in 1996, I thought that Dr. Kwaku Ando had taken these pictures. After your show, his wife, Sister Kali, calls me. And she says, Dr. B, I'm so glad to see you're still doing what you're doing, blah, 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 blah. She said, you were talking from the standpoint of the prophecy on the wall on the show. Okay? Because all of us that saw this, it changed us. Anybody that saw these symbols, it changed you. Now, remember, I'm coming out of having an experience that is life-changing to seeing these symbols in this pictograph on this wall, I think it's like 2 miles long. Sister Kali calls me, and I'm talking to her, and she says, I said, who took the pictures? She says, I took those pictures. And I'm still doing the work, and we're still studying on this, this subject with scientists all over the world. And I'm like, wow. And I hadn't talked to her in a very long time. But anyway, once I saw a couple symbols and a couple numbers on the wall, it took me out. Because I had been writing these numbers, these sequences on my hands and everywhere, all over. I just kept writing these numbers, these, sets of 3 numbers. And they were on the wall. And it blew my mind. It took me, I like zapped out again. So I'm shaking, I'm shuddering. I feel like I'm going to throw up. I can't sit in my seat. And I get up to run out of the building. And Dr. Ando stops what he's doing and says, Dr. B, don't leave here without talking to me. This is a world-renowned scientist. How does he know me?
Right.
And I meet him. And it's a whole story I'll tell at another time. But he basically says, listen, you were taken through a vortex to receive the information about the parasitic beings that were on the earth at this time controlling human nature. And he said, a lot of these, what you might call aliens, are parasites. I mean, why do they need you? Anything that needs you to survive is a parasite. Anyway, out of that, he started talking about these mind control parasites, certain ones, and there's many of them. These mind control parasites and what they do to people. And he says, you're the only one that can create this formula because it's based on music. It's based on sound, rhythm, colors, and all of your studies that you have done. You have what it takes, and you are the man that can help this situation that's plaguing humanity. So I digress and move on to this. In many of the ancient writings, they talk about how somewhere around 6,000 years ago, when the earth is leaning, it's at its furthest point away from the center of the galaxy, the galactic center. As I was mentioning before, and I think last week I mentioned that at that time, it's almost like it's called the fall of man. We're not receiving as much information from the center of the galaxy as we are, when we're closer to the galactic source. We're leaning away from it. So man falls, or people fall. They're not getting the direct signal from the radio station. Around this time, 6,000 years ago, something fell from the sky everywhere. They were not beings, but things. Some call them ships. Some they're in pictures. You know what I'm saying? They're on walls and things where these things popped up. Call them UFOs, some said they were asteroids, some said they were weird clouds all over the planet. And after that time, the people changed. Something shifted in them. It began to fracture people. Tribes began to fight from within. And there was, people who were normally peaceful begin to have issues with each other. This was the Great Divide. And at this particular time, someone began to domesticate cats. See, cats, there's the natural cats like the lions, the tigers, the leopards. They're not going to live in your house. Someone domesticated cats. There is a parasite that only mates in the gut of domesticated cats. That is called toxoplasma. Now, it's interesting that it has plasma on the end of it. That's real interesting because you mean to tell me this thing is a plasma? Toxo, it's a toxic plasma, but it's a being because there's plasma beings. There's all kinds of beings that live in different states. This thing ends up in cats' poop. It sends out a wave of information that attracts mice and rats. When the cat's away, the mice will play. It's an old thing. When the mice and the rats eat it, they begin to love the smell of cat urine. They begin to love the things that naturally the mouse or the rat would be afraid of. It would be protecting itself from these things because this means danger. This is your demise. When these mice and rats see a cat, they don't run. They just stand there. They freeze. When you're in fear mode, you know what I'm saying? There's a couple things that happen. You got, fight or flight. But then there's another one called freeze. Where you don't do anything. They freeze. And even as the cat walks up to eat them, they're just frozen. So something has been rewired in the natural instincts of this rat or mouse. When this thing gets, let's say now the rat has it, right? So the mouse has it. Rats and mice are everywhere. When this thing moved to the next level, it moved into animals because animals like a bird or whatever, different animals and, other beings would begin to ingest in sometimes non-conscious ways this parasite. It lives in the amygdala, which is these two lobes in the brain, which are responsible for your fear response. It has a lot to do with emotion. It's connected to what they call the limbic system. And your limbic system is listening to the environment to see what could hurt us, which is connected to the sympathetic nervous system, which is connected to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is connected to your gut, which is connected to your brain, which is connected to the vagus nerve, which is connected to the cosmos. It disconnects you from the cosmos. This particular parasite puts out frequencies. It sends out a wave, pulse code modulation, vibrations on all frequencies throughout your system. When it gets in animals or people, they're no longer afraid of the thing that can hurt them. They no longer desire to get away from the oppressor. They may be angry and mad and march on bridges and say what's wrong and tell their friends and be mad, but in no way are they going to come together to do something to break out of their condition. So a lot of things that that we do. Let me go here first before we even hit that. Years ago, I went to the feedlots. Somebody brought me into the feedlots where they have the cows and the chickens and the pigs. And these places, first of all, are highly guarded. I couldn't believe, man, they got armed guards, 30-foot walls with razor wire, electric fences, so you can't see what's going on the inside. I mean, what is the problem? It's just, it's a farm, right? It's just cows, you know what I'm saying? Happy cows, chickens, having fun. No. If the people saw this, they wouldn't eat. They wouldn't eat the stuff that those people are creating.
Mm. Mm.
This is a challenging subject to talk about. So I'm going to attempt to take my time with this because it's an emotional thing to know about this and to carry this information and be able to explain it in English. So I'm taking my time with this.
Take time, Doc.
When I went in the feedlot, this one happened to have cows.
Mm-hmm.
The floor was covered in waste. I mean, we had boots on, hip-high boots. There was, I mean, this is crazy, man. Things are crawling. This is crazy.
Mm.
This is not some clean place. Animals had hoof rot. They had infected udder syndrome, where there's blood coming out of their udders. I'm like, what the heck? And guess what was there? Lots of rats, mice, and cats. So I asked the guy who was guiding me, I says, what's with the cats and the mice? Can't they keep them out of here? He said, no, the cats and the mice seem to help to keep the animals in captivity. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, there's a weird thing that happens. I can't really get into that. He never gets into it. Well, the animals are eating off the ground a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, or eating, whatever they're feeding them has been contaminated. It's got waste material in it. There's cats and mice everywhere. A little while after that, I'm in shock after I see what's going on at these feedlots. I'm talking to another scientist in Los Angeles, and he was with another guy. I used to hang with these scientists, right? This one guy, he worked at JPL, Jet Propulsion's lab. He would always bring me this information about what was happening with satellites and space. And the other one was always talking about things that was happening in the biological world. And I asked him one day, I says, man, what happens with the cows, chickens, and pigs when they don't run away? He says, well, they got a parasite. And this parasite affects them where they become domesticated. It's like a dome over them. A domesticated thing has a dome over it, a domicile. They can't and won't run away because the parasite has rewired their brain so that they're very subservient to whatever program that the parasite is giving them. This parasite has gotten into the food supply and people. They're saying anywhere, now they used to say before, 2-3 years ago, it was 50% of the people probably had toxoplasma. And now they're saying the numbers are much higher because of when you have more fear, the more fear you have, the more emotional breakdowns and trauma. And then you have complex trauma, you have PTSD and complex PTSD. You have complex, there's so many things layered that actually feeds the parasite. So I'm saying, what do you mean it feeds the parasite? I'm asking the scientist. He says, well, they seem to thrive when the animal is suffering, when the animal is confused, when the animal or the being is going through, in humans, what they call a type of schizophrenia. They thrive. This toxoplasma, and I know some of you probably are looking it up. Please look it up. Do your own research. Controls the mindset of people all over the world. And they're saying that this has been so for about 6,000 years, and people won't come together because the parasite is so powerful that it keeps people from people that could help you, people that could work together. It makes you afraid of them. You're afraid of things that you shouldn't be afraid of, right? And things that you should be moving towards and have courage, towards certain activities in certain ways. You're not. It twists your emotions. So at this particular point, you're in a prison in your own mind. You become the jailer. You become the judge. You become the jury, huh? You got the key, but you can't even find the key because something's in your head. What's that song they used to say? Don't let it go to your head. Don't let it go to your head. This thing is in the heads of people. People who have it. And I began, when I really started studying medicine, natural medicine in another kind of way, I realized, personality, how people walk, how they talk. You could see it. You can see toxoplasma in the way the person is acting because it manipulates the emotions. It manipulates the people, the way they act. Certain parasites control our society. There's a really good book.
Hold up. Let me.
You got to flip that or something?
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
This is your brain on parasites. I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah, there we go. This is your brain on parasites. How tiny creatures manipulate our behavior and shape our society. By Kathleen, I'm going to say the name, McAuliffe. This is your brain on parasites. A really good book. And in the book, she's talking to interviewing people who are psychoparasitologists. Brand new section of science, psychoparasitologist. Psycho is mind, your thinking. These are people who study the parasites that control people's minds. Not only toxoplasma, there are several of them. So, what is a parasite? A parasite is a being, a creature that lives in or on another creature and uses that creature for food, for travel as a vehicle to get from one place to the other, or just uses its energy. Para means beside. Parasite means life beside. It lives in parallel with the being that it lives in. It's like a walk-in, a creature that has moved in, that's living with you. And you think it's you because you've been acting a certain way and living a certain way most of your life. But what you don't know is that you've merged and emerged and evolved with this thing that's controlling behavior and with probably controlling the behavior of your parents, and your parents' parents. Psychoparasitology, look it up. See, the old scientists never wanted to admit that these little teeny creatures, because some of them are tiny, but some of them are long, very big, that these creatures, because man has an ego. I didn't say woman, I'm talking about man. I'm gonna stay safe. I'm gonna stay right here. Mm-hmm. They think they know. Like the scientist told me herbs don't work, and then I asked him what's in a leaf, and he says, well, we don't really know what's in a leaf. I said, what's in olive leaf? What's in, I named a bunch of things. He says, well, I'm not sure. I said, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't, the herbs don't work, right? I got to show you something. I got to grab something here. I said, what do you mean herbs don't work? I said, do you know for sure? He says, yeah, I know for sure herbs don't work. He says, because if they did, we would have studied them in school. I said, really? I said, you didn't study parasites? He says, no, not at all. I said, well, I was doing a lecture one time at this place called The Good Life in LA, where I used to do lectures. In fact, there's a couple people online who I know used to be at The Good Life, so welcome back. I'm doing a lecture one day, and a nurse walks up, and she hands me this book. Hope you can see it. Medical Parasitology. This is a book that the nurse studied about parasites. They got pictures in here. They talk about how they live and the diseases that they cause and the symptoms. The doctor still proclaims herbs don't work. Okay, that's a good book, but herbs don't work. I said, well, what do you use when you choose drugs? How do you choose them? He says, well, we use a PDR. What's that stand for? And the doctor says, well, it's the physician's desk reference, of course. I said, so they only study drugs? He said, that's right. What is this?
PDR for herbal medicines.
This is a physician desk reference for herbal medicine. Somebody lying here. Somebody is blowing some smoke.
Woo! Give it to them, Doc.
Up your arse.
Give it to them, Doc. Come on, Doc.
This book, and when I was looking it up, when I got the book, because a doctor, doctors used to slip into the lectures and leave a package and just kind of wink and walk out.
Yeah.
Some folks be trying to redeem themselves. They know this thing is over, so they want to at least I did one good thing. I got this thing. I got in my car, man. I'm on Crenshaw Boulevard. It's 12 o'clock at night. I got my flashlight out, and I look in the book, and I said, this is all about herbs. First one I looked up was marijuana, of course. You know what I'm saying? I looked this up, and they break down marijuana or cannabis, sativa or whichever one it is, on a whole nother level. They break Delta 9 down. Delta 9 is the ingredient or one of the things. Well, I'm trying to go simple here. Delta 9 is what gives you the high feeling. Delta is the symbol, which is a little pyramid or a little triangle. 9 ether, the 9 vibration, the 9 which is not really a number at all, because it's a very strange number because it has all numbers in it. And anything you multiply times 9 comes up as 9.
That's 9.
Okay. And whenever you add something to 9, it shows you the number you added to it. It's not a normal number. It's a very special thing. So Delta 9 has got to do with some cosmic events on you're ready to go to the next level. In this book, they talk about all the wonderful effects and uses of cannabis that they've studied. They talk about almost all the herbs that it's so many herbs in here. This is the physician's desk reference. And guess where you buy it? You buy it from the place where you buy all of the desk references. All the doctors have it at their disposal if they desire. They're just not doing it. Why? Because they work basically based on what the drug companies tell them to do. I deal with a lot of doctors. I have a lot of clients who are doctors. A lot of them. And they always slip a little information in on me and let me know. I wish I could talk about this. I wish I could give this to my clients, but I'm handcuffed because they got to make that money. You know what I'm saying? And and I'm not saying that, I don't want to make it look like it's a conspiracy. This is not a conspiracy. It's nothing evil about it. Drugs have their place in emergencies. They do. Medicine has its place. Modern medicine has its place in emergencies. Now, when it comes to maintenance and things like that, this is when we might look more towards nutrition, but only now are they beginning to offer more and more courses on nutrition, even with your medical doctor. So don't be mad with your medical doctor when he says something, because the medical doctor is handcuffed to a system that is basically paying his bills, taking care of everything in his life, and he's got to live in that system. See, when you stay with a circle of people, let's say you got a group that you hang out with. These are your friends. This is your crew. You understand what I'm saying? This is your circle, but sometimes your circle is your prison, because you got to stay with the prison because the prison is telling you how to act. These people are telling you how you have to be in the circle, and you want to be friends. It was like my son, he throws the ball, right? And he's on the team, right? He's the best one on the team. He can play ball better than everybody on the team. I go to see him play. He's missing every shot. I'm like, what, bro? What's wrong? He says, man, if I prove who I am and if I act really, really good and excellent, I won't have friends. My friends, they can't play, but they're cool people. So you will lose. We got to lose this game. I got to be friends with them. I won't have anybody. So sometimes if you stand out and stand up and you begin to rise and elevate, right, and activate, and you begin to move to those higher levels, you lose friends. So there's this tribalism thing. People want to stay with the group. So the doctors have to stay with a group. They have groups and, your medical group. And that's my medical group. You know what I'm saying? So don't be angry with them. Look at this as a thing where you need to do your own research and learn about your body and not just listen to them. I in no way like to create these waves of energy where it just turns out to be anger and we can't do anything. We're just mad. The doctor did this. The doctor asked you, you signed the papers. Your doctor can study whatever they'd like to study, whatever the elective is. There are some doctors or biological people who work in biology who study parasites. The old doctors and scientists never wanted to admit that these little creatures could control society. Do you know why? And this is deep. I always wanted to know why certain cities, certain people have a certain accent. So, like you from New York, right? You could tell you from New York. It's a New York thing. I said, why when I cross the line from Connecticut or Jersey into New York, it's different? What happens? How does everybody agree, sign some papers to have a certain accent, right? It has to do with the food. It has to do with the vibration in the earth. And it has to do with the environment. My question is why when we get south of the Mason-Dixon line, do the people have a southern accent? Some people call it a southern drawl. This baffled me until a scientist breaks down that there was a time when the mosquitoes were so bad in the South that almost everybody got malaria. Some people didn't die from malaria, but it affected their frontal lobe and their speech centers. So they had to talk really slow. And when they had children, the children mimic their parents. And this becomes the way people spoke in the South of the United States.
What time period is this?
I think this was in the 1800s. Wow. 1800s, early 1900s, because they also at the same time, and don't quote me on that, but at the same time period, they learned how to spray for mosquitoes. And they sprayed these chemicals everywhere, which further affected the mind of people. It's still in the soil. Whatever they used, because they weren't spraying herbs. They were spraying chemicals. It was serious. So this is one of the places where you could see where parasites might have to do with society. Do you know why parents want you to use your right hand back in the day? It was all they would make the child right-handed. The child's born left-handed, it would be a whole problem. I remember my brother, it was a whole thing because he's left-handed. It's not good to be left-handed. How are you going to shake people's hands? How are you going to learn how to write? It was a problem. In this book, Your Brain on Parasites, they get into that. How when people went to nations or cultures that were Muslim, the Muslim people wiped themselves after using, the restroom with their left hand. So they didn't eat with their left hand or shake with their left hand. So when the Caucasians came, their thing was to mimic this activity because they were like, oh my God, so it must be something wrong with, it must be germs. You see, there must be something bad about that left hand. But it was the fear of disease, the fear of a virus, a plague, parasites, or biological entities that could take people out. Religions, many times they came about because somebody from another land came into the city or came into the village, and all of a sudden people got sick, and they tied it to there's a sickness. Those people who look like that with hair like that are sick. They're dirty. So we're going to create a nation, a state, even in politics. These parasites, either, I'm going to get to why a little deeper, they either control the movement of the way people act and interact, or the fear of disease causes people to all live a certain way. This is why in a lot of places it was about keeping everything in the family. I mean, it was cousins and brothers and sisters with each other because you didn't want to mix with those people because those people are dirty. You see, These people are xenophites. They're afraid of anything that doesn't look like them. Xenophobia is huge. He looks a little different. You know what I'm saying? His hair is just too woolly. Well, guess what? We don't like him. Why? Because you're afraid. And it looks like anger to you, but it's fear because you don't understand. So this thing about germs and germs, right? Check this out. The Germans back in the day had some of the best scientists. Early 1900s. They began to study these things we call parasites, germs, and diseases. They call them verms. Verms with a V was also worm or wormin or wormer. They call them worms, verms. A lot of the pictures that you see online, you go online and start looking at these bugs, is German, especially if they're old pictures. We went to war with Germany, which is a whole other special story. So we, in a derogatory way, began to call those little entities germs because we said the Germans are nasty. Get it? They call them verms, vermin, right? We go to war with Germany, and then to make this, to really step and throw some shade on them, we call these things germs. Is that crazy, man?
Wow, deep, yeah.
The connections.
Yeah.
Everything is connected. So the old scientists, they never truly wanted to admit that these little beings could be controlling beings and controlling the minds and the mindsets. Because the ego is huge. We know what we're talking about. We've studied everything. They haven't. They don't know anything for a fact. It's all based on theories and theorems and ideas and beliefs. And sometimes it's based on some BS. And we come along talking about it's scientifically proven. If it happens 3 times, it's scientifically proven. Bro, what the heck is scientifically proven? Let me tell you something. The around 19, I can't remember, maybe 1996, 7, 8, I was asked to teach at UCLA, which blew my mind. Because how could I teach at UCLA when I only went to college for 2.5 weeks? I went to school for electronics at first. And I quit in 2.5 weeks. I graduated. I didn't need to go no further. I saw them symbols on the wall and I said, I'm done. And I left. That's when I met George Clinton, hung out with him. You know what I'm saying? Y'all was on the bus. You know what I'm saying? This was it, man. We love you, Dr. Funkenstein. Your funk is the best. Woo! Yeah, it was deep, man. So I'm called to teach at UCLA. I keep getting this phone call, and they're saying, we'd like you to come teach a course and blah, 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 blah. So I thought it was a joke. They can't be calling me. They got the wrong number. So finally I answer the phone, and the sister answers, and she says, look, we've been studying your work, your work around music and health and rhythm and sound, and we'd like you to teach a course. I said, but I don't have a degree. She says, you have the biggest degree there is. It's called experience. If you come, we will give you a degree. I said, what do you mean? Well, you can go to this course and we'll give you a degree. I said, well, how long is the course? She says, it's 12 days. I said, I'll get a degree. She says, yeah, the people's names that's on the school, they didn't go to school. The people's names that's on the college didn't go to college.
Crazy.
The people that's teaching you didn't get taught. They came up with an idea and talked loud, had a big hairdo with license stuff in it. That's another story. And then all of a sudden, their name is on the school. The school is named after such and such. And you assume, because this is what we do is assume a lot, that this is a prestigious school. Anyway, I asked them, could I teach natural health? And they said no. Because of the UCLA Medical Center, we can't step on their toes. We'd like you to teach a course about music and how music affects people and how sound and frequency is a big piece of the world. And we want you to teach, people about music production, management, mixing, engineering, mastering, all of those things. I was really, efficient, proficient, efficient. I can make up words too. They made up all the words we're using. So efficient. I was really good at, doing those things. So I decided to take the course when I found out I could get discounts. I said, I can get discounts? Yes, an instructor, you can get discounts. They gave me a teaching certificate. And I said, well, in order for me to teach health, in order for me to teach music, I'm going to have to teach health. They said, but we won't say that in your class description. We won't mention that. You just do that kind of undercover. But what was interesting, a lot of professors were coming to my class because I was wild in the class. Man, I got jokes going, you know what I'm saying? I'm drawing pictures because, I like to teach through, some laughter and fun and make it entertaining. The best way to teach is through entertainment. That's why your music is basically entertainment. It's teaching you, even at a subconscious level, because music is one of the few things that goes deep between the conscious and the subconscious. You can teach and program things through music and vibration quicker than anything else. So I did this course for 4 years. But while I was there, I was able to go into the biomedical labs because they thought I was Dr. B. Actually, it's Doctor. I wasn't a doctor. They just assumed, you know what I'm saying? And then, come on in. We heard about your course. We heard that you're really funny and you're really comical. We like the way you talk about blah, 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 blah. So they let me in. Yeah. So I saw a lot of things. And I'm going to give you this one piece and I'm going to go back. This is a little offshoot. They had this huge microscope. The microscope that we use that can see really small things was created by a man named Royal Rife. Royal Rife is the one who identified viruses. He learned about all kinds of biological entities that nobody knew anything about. And at the same time, he made these machines that put out light pulses and waves and sounds and frequencies that would reverse the polarity on the entity and cause it to explode. They were taking out cancer, all kinds of illnesses. Dr. Royal Rife. Well, he wasn't a doctor, just Royal Rife. I think they did give him a doctorate at some point. Then they took it away. They give you something, they take it away, You got a degree and all of a sudden, it's, you come home and it's gone. It's just a shadow where it was because you're not acting right. You're not staying within the group. You know what I'm saying? You're breaking out of our religion because a lot of these things are basically religions. So Royal Rife did a lot of research and they basically came and confiscated everything. Took all his machines and everything. And a lot of people tell me, well, Dr. B, I got a Rife machine. I said, I had a Rife machine too. I had all the Rife technology until I realized that it wasn't right. It's rife, but it ain't right because he used these machines that were all analog. And now you find these machines that people, have that's supposed to kill parasites and disease. They're digital. They actually create a chaotic frequency that actually kills some bugs and makes the other one stronger. Some parasites. In fact, all things are sensitive to frequency, to sound, to rhythm, to light codes, to pulses. Once you can find the frequency that something or someone is vibrating at, if you can locate that, then you can change it if need be. Sometimes the frequency that you can affect some of these creatures with is so chaotic that they lose their way. They either die, they can't mate. Like there's a plant called neem, Neem, the neem tree. They noticed that in India, in Africa, and in around the warmer climates, this neem tree grows. And they noticed that the bugs would come, let's say locust season. They may come and land on the leaves, but they just stay on the leaves and they stop eating. They stop mating. They don't do anything. They just sit there and they just fall over and die. It doesn't kill them. The tree causes them not to mate, not to connect. not to eat. It shuts down their frequency because the neem frequency, if you smell it, it smells like almost like bad rotten garlic. It's real funky. It also is an aphrodisiac. Actually, if you take neem, and I shouldn't be saying this, I hope there's no medical folks on the line that's going to make that call. It's one of the best contraceptives on the planet because the sperm doesn't even look for the egg, or the egg doesn't attract. Because truly what happens in the body, the sperm is not looking for the egg. It is the egg that is magnetically choosing and attracting the sperm. The sperm are going through what's called sperm competition. The sperm are fighting each other so that they could glow and have such an auric field that she might choose them. That's a whole nother thing. Put that in your pipe or your glass of tea and drink that. It is the woman, is the feminine that is choosing. So this particular plant is used for a lot of things, as far as, let's say, you get like beans and things and you're storing things, they put neem leaves in it. And a lot of foods, have neem in it because the neem actually helps to keep it fresh and keeps a lot of bugs from destroying your food. So there are thousands of known bugs, parasites that affect and infect people and animals and can control their activities. There's a wasp that will sting a certain grasshopper, and that grasshopper no longer acts like a grasshopper. There's men that will meet a woman. Just think about this for a minute. And all of a sudden she's changed, right? We see that all the time. Or, or even vice versa. People meet and they change. And their whole life is based on that person. It's almost like parasitic, So, but this is happening in nature also. The manipulation of things so that the thing can survive. It's all about survival of the thing. Parasites are manipulating. They're ectoparasites that live on the outside, like on your skin. There's things called ectoparasites. If you get a microscope, you can see them. And I'm going to go back to that microscope in 1 second because I didn't finish that. There's also parasites that are endoparasites. They live inside you. Then there's parasites that live in your digestive tract, but then there's systemic parasites that live throughout your body. Okay? They're everywhere in nature. Everybody has parasites at some level. There is no quote unquote good parasite. People say, well, there's some good ones. You let me just find them, bring them to me. The good bacteria and things like that are different than parasites because there's a symbiotic relationship between, the good bacteria and you. Parasites only use you as the host. So if you're having a party, guess what? You're having a party. You better have music. You better have drinks. You better keep it coming because you're the host. And a lot of times people don't bring nothing to the party. They don't even help wash dishes and clean up afterwards. This is parasitic people coming to the party. Well, parasites take away. They take. And they'll control their host. They will send information, vibrations, sounds, frequencies, emotions, and feelings, and symbols throughout your body to make you do a certain thing so they can survive. Certain foods that you're hooked on because the parasites are controlling what you consume. We notice that when people do a really powerful systemic program, they all of a sudden are not hooked on certain things. They're not hooked on certain foods and certain activities. You change because people have been being controlled by these beings. Let me go back to the microscope really quickly. As above, so below. We've heard that before. As I'm looking through the microscope, the scientist tells me, he says, I'm going to show you a cancer cell. And in the cancer cell, around the cancer cell were all these creatures. I said, what are those? He said, those are parasites and viruses and mold. They live with and around or might be causing the cancer or the malady or disease state. He says, don't worry about those. Bring up the magnification. So we're looking at the cancer and we're going down, down, down. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And all of a sudden we get to this place where there's no more cancer. I said, where are we now? He says, we're beyond the cancer. He says, cancer only exists at a certain level, a certain degree. It only lives at a certain place, and you have gone beyond the cancer. I said, so inside the cells that are supposed to be cancer cells, there's a place where cancer doesn't exist? He says, exactly. The environment around the cell is creating what you're calling or what we have described as cancer or any disease. It's based on the vibrational rate. You have gone to a place deep in the cell beyond the vibrational rate of what you call dis-ease. I said, so there's no dis-ease? He said, there's no disease here. He said, keep bringing up the magnification. We get to a place where I said, wait a minute. Is that the Big Dipper? He says, exactly. I said, is that serious? He said, yes. I said, what's going on?
This shit is good.
And the man laughed, just like you laughing. He laughed almost. This is a little eerie. You kept laughing like that dude was laughing.
Oh man. Oh.
He says, "As above, so below." He says, "I can't talk about this, Doc, but you can, because you didn't join the club. Because I didn't do the handshake or drink or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm at this college, but I'm a contractor. I'm here. I'm here today and gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
When you look at the cells." Or anything, when you get down to the subatomic space, it's the same thing. Everything is everything. Didn't Donny Hathaway say that? Everything is everything. He also said the world is a ghetto. Well, artist I was working with back in the day, DJ Quick. I used to produce DJ Quick when he first came out, right? And he was about to go on the road. And he says, man, I'm a little nervous. I haven't really been out of Compton. I said, don't worry. The whole world is just like Compton. A little later, I found out he wrote a song called Just Like Compton. But it was good, too. But everything is happening at different levels based on your perception. If something can play with your perception of what things are, it can control you. We live in a society that's your perception is being controlled by entities, biological entities, whether they be humans, whether they be, entities and outities. There's all kinds of levels of things that would like to use you, especially if you sweet. The darker the berry, the sweeter the juice, especially if you got a lot of soul and a lot of energy, right? You can really move, you got ideas, and you get zapped by these creatures, right? Who need to use your energy. Sometimes they're your family. You better stay in college, B. You better not quit, because you're going to need a good job, because there was, this whole thing about a good job. You're going to need to go to college and get you a good degree. What kind of degree? 1 degree. Nature's got, 360 degrees? There's 365 days. I'm not just living in 1 day. Why should I be having just 1 degree? Because there is a control center. It's a lot to get in there to get into this exhibit. One at a time. You sit in this white room. The chair is white. The walls is white. It's soundproof. And you just sit there. People come out crying. Oh, my God. I'm like, what happened? What happens in there? They said they can't deal with the silence. It blows their mind. I'm like, wow. We have an issue with silence. And when you get in a place, like when you're in the studio, you go in a real, professional studio, you're in a vocal booth and they close the door. We used to use refrigerators, but because they have very thick walls and they're lined, all this materials where sound can't, travel through the walls. And artists would sometimes freak out if it was too silent. You start shaking, man. What's happening? Where y'all at? And we have to talk to them, because something starts happening when you start finding yourself. Like a lot of folks who are in solitary confinement for a very long time, they either snap and lose it all, or they gain it all, because you find yourself in silence, in darkness. It's in that dark place. It's in the dark night of the moon. It's when you've lost it all. When you lose your mind. Like when I lost my mind, I lost it all. I couldn't hear. I couldn't see. I couldn't smell. I didn't know nobody. I didn't recognize anything. But guess what? I found myself. But a lot of times we're afraid to go find ourselves because we got something walking with us, something talking with us, something talking in our head. You know what I'm saying? That's telling you don't get off the farm. Don't find yourself. Because if you find yourself, these entities cannot use your energy. Because if you're not using all your energy, all your life force, if you're not generating the voltage and the frequency that you should be generating, that you came here with, something else is going to use you. Let me tell you something. If you ain't sitting in your seat, somebody else is sitting in your seat. Opportunity knocks on your door every single day, but you don't recognize the knock. You think that opportunity goes away? No, it goes to somebody else. You see, because we're focused on things, right, that may not be the best thing for us because we haven't found ourselves. When you find yourself, something happens. When you find your true self, but you were raised in a world where you have to vote for these people. You got to believe in this thing. You got to believe in something now. You got to believe. You don't believe in nothing? No, I don't believe in nothing. What do you mean you don't believe? I don't believe in nothing. I need facts. I need to see it happen. Like even in what they might call spirituality. You know, I like quantum physics. Why? Because quantum physics will prove something that you call spiritual. That's what quantum physics is about. Because there's things happening in the subatomic space that proves that, let's say something like, collective prayer. If we could all focus on one thing, or collective meditation, if we could all focus on that one thing, that one idea at the same time, we actually change through space, through time, the energy of the thing, because all particles are actually one particle. When they found the subatomic particles, what they call the God particle, they only found one of them. And as you looked at the particle, it became whatever you was thinking about. This thing is a projection. We're all coexisting in a projection. It's not what you think. It seems solid, but it's actually more space than anything else. 99.99999% of everything is space. Space, the final frontier, to go where no one has gone before. Ain't that what they say on Star Trek? 5-year mission to seek out new life, to seek out yourself. What did Luther Vandross say? If only for one night, it would be so nice. If only for one night. No one needs to know. Don't call nobody and tell them I'm about to do a special meditation tonight. Don't call me between 9 and 1:30 because the people are thinking, he's doing some kind of weird meditation. What is he doing? They sit in waves. Because when you tell people and give them an idea of what you're doing, right, they have an idea about it. They have a belief. I'm really worried about him. He said he's going to do nothing. He's going to eat nothing but lemons and water for 6 weeks. That ain't healthy. I'm worried. They keep calling. How you doing today? You all right over there? Because you told them. You talk too much. And people don't know how to mind their business. And not only are they nosy, they're newsy. They not only are they talking about you, right? They're calling other people nosy and newsy. And that keeps you in a state where you're not solid. You're not sovereign. You ain't got to take no papers downtown to become sovereign and ask the man if you can be sovereign. You got to be sovereign within yourself. You got to get sovereign. Soulvern. You got to learn how to, get these entities out of you. So, toxoplasma is notorious for controlling whole societies of people. The signal that it's receiving and sending is coming from somewhere else. They work together in a group, like a hive. So within a certain amount, we're not sure how far right now, within a certain area, there's the mother, the queen, like with bees. Them bees better not come back with the wrong pollen from another flower. She holds them down and stings them to death and then eats them. You better do exactly what the queen says. These beings, like ants and things like that, their thing is survival. You might not like them. You got a problem because they're in your house. This is their house. You know how long they've been here? There's an ant mound in your house, been there for 2 million years. And you're trying to kill these ants, especially if they black, you really kill them. You got to watch that because black bugs we really kill them loud. If it was a white ant, well, oh no, it's just a little white ant. Might blend in with the paint, so you don't really say nothing. Friends are over. You know what I'm saying? It's a white ant. The black ant, you get you kill it loud. So the other ants or the other roaches, or has been said out in Texas, the roaches, they can hear. And you look around and then send the message because your ego is huge as a human being. Yes, human being. It's crazy how we think. If all the roaches die tomorrow, we only got 3 years. They clean up stuff. That's what they do.
Eat them filthy motherfuckers.
Somebody got to do the work.
Shit.
Somebody got to do work. You call them filthy, but they taking the trash out.
I guess you're right, man.
Come on, man. They go places where no one to go, where no man will go. Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
So, toxoplasma, it feeds off fear and anger. It keeps people in sorrow. A lot of us have unresolved fear. Unresolved fear affects the kidney. Unresolved anger affects the liver. Unresolved grief affects the lungs. So we could keep going. There's mental states or emotional states that also create the imbalance in organs. So you could be, you conscious as you want to be, man. You do your thing, you eat right, but there's stuff down in your subconscious basement that happened to you as a child or things that you saw on a movie. Like the movie, if the movie ain't got certain things in it, people don't want to watch it. It needs to have gore. Some of these movies that are really deep right now, they always got to have a lot of blood and gore in them. Why? Well, people are not going to like it. People through hypnotic rhythm are programmed to have to see all that gore and blood, so they become desensitized. You don't have to tell that story like that, but you do if you wanted to sell big. Like if your song, if you were a hip hop artist, there's certain things you better put in that song because that's what they want. You take away that 808 drum, that 808 bass drum. People have no idea the frequency and what it looks like on an oscilloscope in the laboratory, the 808 bass drum. That 808 bass drum is deep.
What it look like?
It's chaotic. It's a chaotic frequency. The 808 bass drum. The 808 bass drum, unless you know how to tune it and play with it. I mean, a lot of times, if there's no 808 bass drum, and why is it 808? What is that number about? Why do they call it the 808? I asked the Japanese folks who made it, why y'all call it 808? They just said, that's a good number. No, there's no good numbers. You know what I'm saying? You talking about a good number. And why y'all be bowing? How come you don't shake hands? You just bow. He said, because I don't know what you have. I don't know what you might have. You don't want to shake my hand. I said, oh, wait a minute now. They know about something. 808. That frequency is chaotic. It is not natural. If you leave it you have to really manipulate it and compress it and change it from a chaotic frequency, right, to a natural frequency. There are natural frequencies that you could use to do that because it's all got to do with programming. You turn on the 808, you see people's heads automatically do this. The cat could be, this cat got no skills, no rap skills at all. But if you turn it up loud and put that 808 up under it,
you feel that 808, you can feel that, Doc.
Because it's hypnotic.
Feel it.
They took some frequencies that the indigenous people used and certain rhythms that the indigenous people used and used it to program people. Some frequencies and some sounds are parasitic. They eat you alive. This ain't just about bugs. You're creating frequencies. Frequency means how often something happens. How frequently a sine wave goes from positive to negative. Or a square wave, or a pulse wave, or a sawtooth wave. I used to design synthesizers. This is the, there's companies out there that actually use a lot of the sounds that I created back in the day. I was working for companies as a sound designer because I studied sound. And I realized that there's certain sounds that cause you not to be sound.
Mm.
There's certain sounds that you play that the animals go crazy. I'm not saying that the music that we're listening to is innately bad or good. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that someone is controlling, like when it turned from rap, which we call the revolution of African people, to hip hop. When did that happen? Something happened. And then all of a sudden we started allowing a whole lot of other folks. We used to sell this out the trunk. We had cassettes, or they used to say cassettes. And then all of a sudden something happens and we got to make it big. It's got to be big. We need more money. Because we like being taken care of. We like that money. We need to look good. We need to have the chains. We need to have the gold. And there's nothing necessarily bad or good about that. What I'm saying is there is a system of control which uses the people's mindset as fuel for whatever they're doing. And these beings, some of them, they're behind the scenes. You don't see them. And you want to know what the youth and why they're doing what they're doing. They're mimicking a lot of times a message that's been given to them. This is a parasitic nation. It's a parasitic world not the world, not the earth. I'm talking about the worlds we live in, where we like to be. There's a way to make the music pulse where everybody's going to buy it. They wanted to know, how can I make the first hip hop record, right? They wanted to know, Dr. B, how did you create? I had an artist. I said his album is going to go gold in 2 months off the first single. They said it's impossible. It's never happened. One single, the album is going to go gold. A month later, the album goes gold. And the artist, DJ Quick, whether you like him or not, it's the first artist for his record to go gold in almost 30 days, and the first black hip hop artist to have a billboard on Sunset.
Mm.
You can say, well, I wasn't into that West Coast. I'm not talking about that. You can choose whatever you like. I'm saying there is a way that you can make music sound. There's a way that you can make food and prepare food. There's a way that you can talk and live that puts out a frequency that turns chaotic waves into natural waves that actually give life instead of taking life. And parasites only take life.
Wow.
So, toxoplasma at this time basically is controlling a lot of the mindset of people. A lot. And you could see it in people's eyes. You can see the way people's eyes move and the way they talk. And the subjects, people talk like in little loops. And it's almost like they're just mimicking. And B, so you heard about such and such, have you? And it's this thing. And it's getting more and more, some of us see it. We can hear it. I am saying that we have to now choose a new path because the old rhythm is not working anymore. We're in a new space. We have ways that we can break the spell. You have to become a spell breaker. You got to become a sorcerer and start tapping into source energy. That's what we're at that point where we got to step out of the circle that we were in. Even though it was cool, some of those circles ain't going nowhere. You got to look at the people you around, who you're attracting, who you with. If you're in a relationship, right, which is a boat, right, when you got a contract and a ship, there's a relationship has a contract. And once you begin to step outside of that ship, they want to throw you off the ship. But your ship, your own person, your own vehicle, you got to be careful because you got to make sure you're the captain. That means you need to know who your crew is. That's your crew is your organs, your cells, your organelles, your subatomic particles, everything about you, your friendly bacteria, your hair, your skin, everything about you is your vehicle. Now you probably got some pirates that want to be captain one day. I remember I was watching one of those Captain Kirks in Star Trek, and Captain Kirk got on this elevator with this guy. He says, "You're feeling good." The guy says, "Yes, sir." He says, "You want to be captain one day, huh?" He says, "Yes, sir." Captain Kirk slaps him to the ground. And he says, "Not on my ship." I'm like, "Whoa, this is some cold stuff, man." Slapped him. He lifted up and slapped him down. The dude's on the ground. The music goes, "Duh, not on my ship." This is some deep stuff, man. What's on your ship? Do you have cargo? You think you got a cruise boat, but you got a cargo ship with oil leaking barrels and junk in it. You don't even know what's on your ship until you do the dark work, the endarkenment. Go in and find yourself in silence and detoxify yourself from these parasites. Toxoplasma is not going to leave because you eating raw.
That was going to be my first question. People automatically think you're talking about meat eaters. They automatically think the vegans are off the hook. Doc, I'm a vegan, and them niggas that eat pizza, chicken and pork and beef, they the ones that got to worry about it. But the vegans are susceptible too, huh?
Well, there's a parasite called Necator americana. It's the flesh-eating bacteria. It's a necrotizing, right? Fasciitis. It eats tissue. It necrotizes, which means it rips. It's in meat. Flesh-eating bacteria. And it could be dormant for years until you go through some sort of trauma. You see what I'm saying? Which could be, you eat some flakes of corn for breakfast and they were sprayed with some atrazine, which, anyway. So, yes, there are certain illnesses that you could obtain from the eating of flesh. In fact, let me say this really quickly. A lot of the illnesses or diseases, parasites, and other little bugs, I'm being very careful, I'm being mindful of what you said, little bugs, are basically zoonotic. Zoonotic means that they are passing from animals to people. Now, you don't have to eat them. You could be living with them. I'm going to just leave that. I don't want to, upset your audience too much. It's just, I got to breathe. Stay focused, stay focused, stay focused. But there are parasitic beings that live everywhere. On that doorknob you about to touch, that elevator button, that hug you just gave to that person who just, then you're going to do the black hug, or hug them 3 times on each cheek. You're passing parasites. They're everywhere. There's some in the air. They're on particles of dust. They're in your rug. There are all kinds of beings. This thing is teeming with life that man does not understand, overstand, or understand until he begins to exostand, which means stand outside of your ego and look in. So if you live on the planet, you're going to get parasites. Parasites are like garbage pickers. They eat garbage. They digest things. They break things down. And if you had a few of them, it wouldn't be an issue. The issue comes is when you are overpopulated with parasites, or you have the ones that live in your brain, that control your brain, and certain ones in the gut. And a lot of people talk about parasites. They say, well, I'm not worried. I do a parasite cleanse. I take, black walnut and black seed oil and, olive leaf extract. And they got all these things that they do. Diatomaceous earth. They work very well in the digestive tract. Those things don't go through the entire system that deals with what we call systemic parasites. There are certain parasites that live in the heart, certain parasites that live in the liver, the kidneys. There's one that lives in the pancreas, the pancreatic flukeworm. There's people with diabetes, right? Taking medicine, taking shots every day, and nobody has dealt with their parasite living in that pancreas. So you tell me how your black walnut hulls and your cloves, huh? The stuff that you were told wormwood. How does it get to that organ? I want to see it. Show it to me scientifically. That's why I say I like studying science. I need to see it actually happen in the lab. or have the lab reports brought to me, which I act like I'm reading, but I actually know. Sometimes you got to act like you're reading the reports. But you get a feeling. The real report is within you. When you realize that some of these things were created through biological warfare, it's in the environment. They drop stuff in different war zones, right? They drop this germ warfare, biological weapons. Here's something for y'all to look up. The Military Review, November 1970. This is a publication. The Military Review, November 1970. Ethnic weapons. Race-specific biological weapons. I'm going to say it one more time. Military Review publication, November 1970. Ethnic weapons. Race-specific biological weapons. Huh? Do you know what that means? Did we just say that these are ethno-specific parasites? Do you mean there's certain bugs that they could put on certain areas and it only causes a problem in certain groups of people? This has all been developed. This is germ warfare. There's certain things in certain foods, even your vegetables. So we have this ego that says, well, I eat perfect and I've been eating perfect for 20 years and I haven't touched meat and milk and dairy for blah, 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 blah. And they got this thing. They're moving like this. I said, oh, you got parasites. No, what you mean? I don't have no parasites, Dr. B. The forehead starts wrinkling. They start moving. Their eyes get this little thing. Their pupils get tight. You got parasites. No, I don't. Well, why are you fighting with me? Where's the war? I didn't say, you came to me talking this talk. That you on the radio talking all that. Oh, you really got parasites because you're angry. Why are you so angry all the time? Why are you hating on everything? And your way is the only way. This is very religious. You know what I'm saying? You become like, you're going door to door, making people, talking about their food and the way they live. That's parasitic. And that's a symptom of something controlling your mindset instead of walking in love and peace and harmony with all things and becoming a part of the environment and living and opening up a vortex of love, peace, and harmony. No matter who the people are and what they're doing, most of the time it's none of your business. And if you're minding other people's business too much, you are the parasite or you're full of parasites. It has nothing to do with how you live. It has to do with how you act. My point here is people feel like because they live a certain way, they're protected from this. You are not protected from ethno-specific parasites that they use for germ warfare. Dick Gregory was telling me about a housing project in St. Louis. They needed the people to move and nobody would move. And they wanted to take over and build some big whatever, and he said they sprayed something from a helicopter over the housing project. And everybody in that project within 6 months was dead or very sick. You don't think they have this technology? So you feel like, if you was eating your organic whatever, that you wouldn't be affected by this? It's everybody. Let me tell you another thing. Go back to toxoplasma. We're going to keep going back to toxoplasma. There was an article. You can find it right now. They found out that toxoplasma makes people talk, feel, and smell and look attractive. You can look it up. Look up toxoplasma and attraction. It makes beings, people, animals mate with something that they normally would not mate with because it needs to travel from one person to another. You ever find yourself in a relationship and later on you're trying to figure out, how did I get here, man? How did this happen? Everything was cool, man. It was beautiful. And something happened. Because sometimes you are mating based on the mating calls of a parasite. Look, you can't make this up, bro. This is all, and it's all right there. If you put it all together, get the book once again. Your brain on parasites. This is your brain on parasites. It don't say just meat eaters. People. Real good book. It makes people seem more attractive and sexy. You can't stop thinking about them. They was over there squeezing on the melons at the store, right? They didn't even talk to you. You just, oh my gosh. I can't get that person off my mind. You're supposed to be married and hooked up. You know what I'm saying? It may be because they're emitting these pheromones. Pheromones are what, create smell. That's why we wear certain perfumes. You see, perfumes, they're actually parfums, which have to do with, has to do with life besides, like parasite has to do with something living besides. So you create these smells, which is supposed to make you more attractive. A lot of folks is wearing perfume and they're not trying to date nobody. Well, what you got that perfume on like that? My father used to say, if you're not going out on a date, why are you wearing that perfume? Why you got to wear all that? You're trying to attract something. Well, this parasite knows how to make you smell a certain way. Your nose may not smell it, but at a very microscopic state, right? There's a gas coming from you. So you end up sleeping with the devil. Ooh, did I say that? And you love him. And the intimacy is off the chain. You can't stop. You get in those situations, you've been locked in for days. You ain't seen the light of day. With every breath you take, you can't stop thinking about this person. And it's usually something, it's a weird thing because it's usually, this is not who you would normally be with. These people do some really strange things that would normally seem disgusting if we still had the sense of disgust. But the toxoplasma also blocks a natural sense that people don't even talk about anymore. It's called the natural sense of disgust. Some of these foods you eat, you would not eat. That meat is red on some styrofoam. It's sitting in the store. Why is it red when blood turns brown when it hits the air? It's sitting in the store, been here for days on styrofoam. What is styrofoam? With some plastic over it. USDA, grade A, what? You don't blame them. This is you choosing. People are making these choices based on desire and need and based on the mindset that they have and the belief. Have you looked up the word schizophrenia? I'm going to look it up right now. I'm going to read what they say schizophrenia is. I was talking to my brother man today. We were talking about the garden out there. And we started talking about schizophrenia. And you have an idea of what you think schizophrenia is, right? And based on your thought of what it is, let's see. Here we go. Check this out. Schizophrenia. It's a funny word to spell. Language is deep. A long-term mental disorder of a type. Now, before I go any further, I want you all to know this is one sentence. This is one sentence, what I'm about to read to you. And you probably all are looking it up right now. Read it along with me. A long-term mental disorder of a type involving a breakdown in the relation between thought, emotion, behavior, leading to a faulty perception, inappropriate actions and feelings, withdrawal from reality and personal relationships into fantasy and delusion, and a sense of mental fragmentation. It's one sentence. First of all, I thought I thought the English, couldn't they have? No, they did this on purpose. It's a sentence. You're getting sentenced. Listen again. A long-term mental disorder of a type involving a breakdown in the relation between thought, emotion, and behavior. Stop right there. How many people you know like that? Leading to faulty perceptions. How many people got faulty perceptions? Faulty beliefs. Huh? Inappropriate actions. How many people have inappropriate actions that they think are normal and right? Huh? Inappropriate actions and feelings. You think that because the way we feel here in America, if you take off all your clothes, that's inappropriate. They were walking down the street totally naked, when actually that could be natural. But, in this world, that's inappropriate. So there's a group decision or a choice in a group, in a circle of beings that chooses what's moral, what's right, what's wrong. It doesn't make it natural. It just makes the way the group has chosen and voted, right, to be a certain way. Inappropriate actions and feelings withdraw from reality. Have you watched the news? And you think everything on there is exactly the way they say it is? They tell you, this is the way it is. Back to you, Jim. Back to you, Jane. Back to you, John. Back to you. And the commercials keep coming on. You see? And they got commercials selling stuff to you. And it's a pulse wave that's coming to you, right? It's a parasitic frequency that's got you glued to the screen, believing that something is going on outside when you are not looking at what's going on inside. Because once you begin to look outside, you begin to become schizophrenic. If you look outside too much, you join a group of people who may be schizophrenic. It says here, withdraw from reality and personal relationships into fantasy and delusion. A sense of mental fragmentation. Bro, you're living in a system where we have become schizophrenic. One of the symptoms of toxoplasma is schizophrenia. Mass schizophrenia. Whew. I'm gonna take a breath. Brother Rich, you got a question?
Yeah, well, I mean, wow. I'm just been in listening mode, absorbing everything. Definitely appreciate you coming on the show. Once again, family. I want all y'all to hit the like button. Hit the like button. We got over 3,000 people in the room. Make sure you share this. This was a powerful one, y'all. This is one that you got to listen to again. Take some notes. Doc, you mentioned earlier, you started out the show talking about toxoplasma in the cats. And one of the things you said was that about toxoplasma is that it disconnects you from the cosmos. Now, what's confusing is that the people who are the most cosmic beings have cats. So if the cats got the toxoplasma and they got this parasite within them that's dangerous and that domesticates us and disconnects us, while all these, or you talk to an oracle, she gonna have a cat with her, she gonna be pearling the cat or whatever you call it. What's the deal with all the spiritual people having cats if the cats got this?
Brother Rich, you really know how to stir the pot up, don't you?
Come on, Doc. Come on, Doc.
The most truly, naturally, spiritually, cosmically connected people that I have met do not look anything like what you call spiritual. No cat, no crystals, no sage, no incense. The deepest beings. I have met some deep beings. Real ones. They just go to the crystal shop and talking about the third eye and all that. They don't mention none of that. I watched Dick Gregory disappear. He's in a room. We're in a room. There's only 2 rooms in this place. And he walks in the other room and he's gone. It ain't no way to get out. Where did he go? He calls me from the restaurant across the street. B, man, come on, get some food. I'm in the room where the door is. He ain't never have a crystal. Well, he did have crystal skulls. He did have a crystal skull. But he didn't carry it with him. You better not. He had one of the few crystal skulls, the real ones. Not the ones you can make and buy at a crystal show. The ones that were buried down in South and Central America. But anyway, I have seen some things that people can do who don't have the symbols of spirituality. The reason why some people have this thing about cats is because, you know, Kemet, and it is an argument right now going on about who domesticated the cat. So we know that the Chinese domesticated the chicken, 1507. You know, the cows, and you know, the chicken is a jungle fowl and a vulture. The cow is a buffalo and an oxen. You know, the pig, the modern day pig, is a rat, a cat, and a dog. The modern day lamb is a llama and a mountain goat. A lot of the animals that people are eating, right, because to keep them on the farm, you got to domesticate them and keep them domesticated. Mm-hmm. They're crossing things. So the argument came up with who domesticated cats? Who in history did we see having cats living around them? Kemet, Egypt. Mm-hmm. So some people psychologically, when you see the person, they got their crystal ball and they got a cat, your mind psychologically goes to those, to that time period. Your time travel. So, they must be deep. Mm-hmm. They must be deep. Everybody's spiritual on some level. You don't have to have the symbols of spirituality. There's symbols. You don't even. There's things that can happen and do happen that have nothing to do with what you call spirituality. So yeah, they talk about the crazy lady with cats. People that have a lot of cats. And then you could say, well, I don't have no cats. I ain't got to worry about toxoplasma. You live in a world where there's over 500 cats for every human being. They out there. They can pee on your lawn at night, crawl through your little fence and pee on your lawn. And you out there walking around. Toxoplasma is everywhere. It's not just in the cats. It's just that's the only place that the thing can mate. It can only mate in the digestive tract of modern day cats, which are not natural. I know you like them. You love your kitty kit. But it's not a natural being because it didn't eat you. It loves you. And okay, I'm not saying that I'm not trying to tell you that your cat is a bad thing. I'm saying that there are different beings that live in certain animals. And when you begin to live around animals, you catch things. I mean, syphilis. You know where syphilis comes from? Sheep. The only way people got syphilis, somebody had a relationship. Somebody got married out there in the barn with a sheep late at night. Do you take Mr. Jenkins the farmer to be your lawfully wedded
Don't go there.
husband? Yes, I do.
Come on, man. Come on, Doc. Man.
When those folks was coming over here from over there on them boats, this was before slavery. These folks was chased out. Some of them was, criminals and, heretics and, you know what I'm saying, religious whatevers and slaves and whatever they were. On boats, they lived in them boats for months, man, with animals, sleeping with pigs. Here you go. Right on YouTube, when you hang up, go to the YouTube called Guns, Germs, and Steel. It's like Germs, Guns, and Guns, Germs, and Steel. I think that's what it's called. Germs, Guns, and Steel. Guns, Germs, and Steel. Watch that. This is a scientist breaking down how these beings that you thought was so powerful that came from Europe took over the world. And he's one of them. He's telling. And he says they didn't have to pull out no weapons. They walked up in there with diseases that they had, that they was carrying, right? They was carrying parasites that they got from the animals that they slept with. And they walked up to the tribe, right? And all they had to do was shake folks' hands and folks began to drop dead. And you think that they went to war and they were such great warriors. Come on, these people know the land. How are you going to win a war in a place you don't even understand the topography of the land? You don't know anything. You just got here. And you were able to, with all that stuff hanging, those shoes with buckles on them, and you know what I'm saying, and ribbons and funny clothes and weird stuff, and you was able to take over all these tribes. What did it? was disease, because a lot of them were running from the bubonic plague. I want you to remember this now, huh? And the black plague, huh? You know, these plagues, right? They were taking out whole cultures. And then people got on boats. Some of them were running from these diseases. And they came over here. Because you might have, you might have the thing in you, but it's inert right now. It's chilling. It's quiet. It's in a quiescent state. It's just sleep, in a little cyst. Then it gets here and says, we in Maryland? They wake up. And all of a sudden, these diseases, these things, is what killed off most of the tribes. That's how the West was won. In almost everywhere in the world, because the people were sleeping. They lived in close proximity to animals. No one else did that around the world. You might say, well, no, but they were outside. You weren't in the hull of a boat with no sanitation for months. Can you imagine? That's why they said, when they got off the boat, the first thing the indigenous people said was, how? See, the white folks thought they were saying hi. No, they were saying how. How the hell you doing this? How is this working? But all those illnesses began to, infect the people. And that's how the West was won. Guns, germs, and steel. It's a really good 2-part documentary it's on YouTube. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
You was talking about being in what do you call that? The feed, where you was with the animals and you seen how they were
feedlots.
The feedlots. And there were cows in there, and I'm thinking about baby formula. You was talking about how the toxoplasma domesticates humans. If our babies are drinking this baby formula that it gets from these animals, does this baby formula domesticate us as soon as we come to this realm?
Well, your parents usher you into a way of living that they're in a certain rhythm. They're in a certain way, and they introduce you to it. Mm-hmm. So let's not even say if it's baby formula. Let's say it's just cow's milk, because baby formula is a little different. They made that. So if you're drinking cows,
I'm sorry.
There's an apostrophe after that W that gives an ownership. I remember that much from English class. The cow's milk. And you drink it. The molecule of calcium that's in cow's milk is huge. So if you take your fingers and do this and make a circle, let's say that's the size, relatively, of a molecule of calcium from a cow, and then take a little dot on it with a pen or a little piece of dust, a little piece of anything. That's the size of the molecule in your mother's milk. It's a different calcium. Mm-hmm. That calcium is going to make that little baby cow go from, however many pounds it's born. Let's say it's 100 pounds or 50 pounds or whatever it is at birth, to what? Almost a half a ton within a very short time. That's not the same calcium molecule that we should be eating. And your body can only digest milk as long as you have lactase. Lactase is the enzyme that breaks down lactose. You only have that to the age of 5. Now, some people say, well, white people, they can. Well, see, the thing is a whole lot of white folks ain't all the way white no more. Folks done mixed. We hybrids. A lot of folks mixed. You understand what I'm saying? Now, they may have changed their names, took Jenkins away and took Williams away, and, they call themselves something else now. But people mixed. So there's very few pure, what you call original people, and there's very few, European people that are pure anymore. So there's a lot of issues going on in the gut where you are taking in the bacteria, the friendly bacteria, and the messages and the energy that's for a cow. The bacteria in your gut has a lot to do with who you are. And if you're taking in these bacteria from these animals, it's changing the bacteria in your mouth and your body. Let's say you eat a lot of chicken. There was a lady came to me one time and she was like, well, Dr. B, I got a lot of problems.
Oh, man.
I said, lady, I know what's wrong with you. You got chicken ears disease. She says, what is chicken ear? What is that? I said, you act like a chicken. You use a chicken head.
Man,
What do you mean? I love chicken. I get the best chicken. I love the wings. And she just went on. Her whole life was chicken. She stews chicken. She cans chicken. She is a chicken.
You dead wrong, Doc. You dead wrong, man.
I called my uncle. I used to call my uncle. He's passed away now. And I would call him on the weekends because he was always had some jokes and some stories, especially when he had that brown liquor. Right? I call him and I say, hey, how you doing, Uncle? Mm-hmm. I'm doing all right. So what's happening? Everything's all right. How's it going on out there in California? You got a new record coming out? He'll eat nothing but beef. He act like a cow. You are what you eat. And you know, pigs, they do not go oink. Some of y'all know that. You ain't never heard no pig go oink, oink, oink. Pigs sound like a rat, a cat, and a dog. That's what pigs sound like. Because they're a crossbreed. I'm talking about them little pink ones. We ain't talking about them wild boars. You ain't going to have that at the house. You can't even catch them. They're not going to hang out. Unless say you eat everything. Can you imagine how you sound? Because you sound based on the frequency that you're emitting based on what you ate. Now a whole lot of these animals, right, are coming home to roost because you ate the ghost and the children and the babies of these animals, and they come back to haunt you. You see, so when we stop doing something and replace it with something that's more effective, more for your life force, you change. Come on, I was the chicken wing master. You don't understand. I could put some chicken wings. I created this thing called broasting. I used to take chicken wings and put that seasoning salt on them. You know what I'm saying? I used to season them things down with MSG and everything else that was in that seasoning, salt and pepper and salt, and put it down in the bottom of the oven. Turn that sucker on broil. And I would roast them. I would cook them until they became stiff and hard and crisp. Man, people would come from everywhere to have my chicken wings. Them chicken wings was making me crazy.
Wow.
I would eat them and get high. You said, come on, man. We getting high off a lot of food. A lot of food is causing us to, be high. So we've got to, when we change, we've got to do a couple things. We've got to, cleanse and detoxify. One real quick thing. I got a call from one of my relatives one time, and they had ulcers, bleeding ulcers. And I said, you got Helicobacter pylori. They said, no, I don't have that. What is that? Helicobacter pylori is a parasite that's an alien. Please look it up. H. pylori, Helicobacter. It's got one big eye. It's got tentacles. And it's got these claws on its tail. It's very conscious. It's alive. It's sentient. Helicobacter pylori. Look him up. He lives in the gut, especially in the stomach and in the higher intestines. And it eats away the wall of the intestine, creating little holes, ulcers that bleed. They used to say, well, ulcers is from, hot sauce and bad nerves. Hot sauce. And when it says hot sauce, usually made from cayenne. Cayenne will actually heal you. Helicobacter pylori. They give you certain drugs that we noticed that it caused the parasite to leave where it was and move and migrate to places like the heart and create heart disease. It might even move into the liver. It moves into a place where it can live and hide. And when the threat that's been imposed on it is gone, it moves back. Toxoplasma, Helicobacter pylori, and there's another one I don't want to mention because if I mention that one on here, they coming to get me. Certain things I will not talk about. being very careful. These things are things from another realm. In fact, there's a lot of stuff here that came, and I can prove it to you. Now, look, when they go in space, let's just say they go up and do a little space walk, hang out in the space station, and come back. What do? They put them in quarantine. Why do you put them in quarantine? I asked the guy at this, the space lab, California. Why they got to go in quarantine? He said because stuff be living on them. I said, what do you mean? There's nothing in space. He says there's a lot. Space is teeming with life. Rocks and comets and space dust is falling here all the time with life on it. Life that, is beyond our understanding. We don't know. We don't understand how life is. We're too small. We're too young. Our brain is too tiny. There's things that have been here a very long time. My study was, how can we get control of our vessel? So we began to study things like certain mushrooms, the mycelium group. We started looking at certain metals, certain, very rare elements, certain herbs that most people have never even heard of some of the herbs that we're using. And also, how do we process these things? It's very important. Crystals, crystal elixirs. There's certain vibrations that come from certain crystals that can be turned into a crystal elixir or a water. There's flower essences. Not talking about essential oils. I'm talking about flower essences. Are these? It is like the soul vibration of a plant. It's called a flower essence. It really works on your emotional body. So we put those in our solutions, right? And we use sound vibrations because there's frequencies, right, that actually can shut down the operating system of certain parasites. We might not be able to get rid of it, but we could shut it down. And we find that it takes at least 28 days to 3 months to get rid of some of these super bugs. Remember, I said these are weaponized bugs, and some of them tap right into your DNA. They tap into your rhythm. They change your mindset. Some of them cause you, like back to toxoplasma again. One of the main things that it causes is called self-harm. What do you mean, Doc? It causes you to do things that hurt yourself. Like give that baby formula and not know what's in it. People went crazy when there wasn't no baby formula. What is in the formula? Why do children have all these problems that they have right now if that stuff is so natural? Every couple years there's a recall on baby food. You should have looked at the baby on the bottle. He don't look right, or she don't look right anyway. Yeah. And you can't take some carrots or something and put them in the blender. See, self-harm. You're buying things and making deals and hanging with people and doing things that's causing self-harm because your internal gyroscope, your internal magnosphere, your magnetosphere, your biosphere has been broken, Your auric field is split, it's cracked, and something is living inside you, riding with you. And it's this other life form and these other ideas and ideals that are not yours originally that you're living with. And you're calling yourself conscious now, you're calling yourself intelligent now, but sometimes you don't realize that that's just another level of the zoo. You just at another level of the farm. You got to keep going. You got to keep working at it. So when people do like my elevated total body program, they always, and a lot of them are herbalists and other people. They say, man, what is this? This is different. This has changed my whole life, my whole resonance. Lady called me one time. She was from the Caribbean. She says, Dr. B, I just want to thank you. I have done your cleanse. It was wonderful. I have changed my life. And guess what, Dr. B? I have gotten rid of a 285-pound parasite. I said, what? My husband. He's been sucking my life force all my life. I got rid of him and I created my own business.
Yo, this dude, your accents, man. Come on, bro.
What you saying now?
Oh, man.
Because what the piece on parasites is so huge. But that is one of the things I really study. And it's on many levels, my brother. And it's like some of them they're spiritual parasites. We can't get into that because that's a whole show. But let me hit this one. There's mental parasites. This one is kind of cool. So one of my studies is in the subconscious mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
The subconscious is something that is attempting to help you. She, it's feminine, knows all about you.
Mm-hmm.
She sees you when you're awake. She knows when you're sleeping. She knows when you've been good or bad. So be good for goodness sake. They're talking about the subconscious mind. You'd better watch out because the subconscious is reading everything that's happening. It's programming it and putting it in file cabinets. It doesn't think. The subconscious doesn't think. It doesn't know English. You can't talk to it. You know, you be talking about, I got to talk to my subconscious. Subconscious don't speak English. It reads symbols. And it's like the librarian. All she does is take the books and put them on the shelf. She's not looking at the content of the books. The subconscious is just storing information and it's 13 million times faster, quicker, and more powerful than your conscious mind. It knows everything that has happened. It just programs it. Okay? So let's say there's a bunch of things that have happened in our life that are traumatic and we haven't worked it out because there's a way to work things out to release the stress and the vibration of it, right? We are not taught in our society usually, unless you got special parents, special classes, and you got special teachers and leaders or mentors or whatever you want to call them. If you don't work that stuff out and rewrite the code on what's in that file that's traumatic, it'll haunt you. The average person lives in the realm of hungry ghost. That means that something that should be dead and gone is alive today and is eating up your energy in the moment and you can't get past it. You can't even fix the past, no matter what you do. Mm-hmm. So this becomes a mental parasite. A mental parasite is an idea, a feeling, an emotion, or an experience, right? That is eating you alive today in this moment. Human beings are the only beings on the planet that have the propensity or the power to tap into that past that way so clearly and bring it into the moment. It actually eats us alive. It's called a mental parasite. Now, how do we work on that? We work on that through what we call subconscious alignment, where we get our conscious thoughts and your ideas and your goals to be in alignment with your subconscious programmings. You can rewrite everything from your subconscious. I found this out by mistake when I quit. You know, I decided that most of the people I was teaching was, you know, they got parasites. They're not really, you know, folks was tripping. You know what I was teaching when I used to do a lot of teaching, and I've realized my students was just, you know, I don't know. I'm not feeling that they're really getting this, and they really just coming to laugh. You know what I'm saying? Dr. B gonna crack jokes. They come high to class. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, that was funny. You ask them a question next week, they don't even know the answer to it. So I quit. But then I stumbled upon Dr. Bruce Lipton, and he became one of my teachers. And he proves that your genes don't do anything. It's your programming. Mm-hmm. And from that, he urged me to take a course on subconscious alignment, psychological kinesiology, muscle testing, which we can talk about at another time. So once you can locate the amount of energy in a belief or a memory, you can also do a thing called rewriting the language syntax. The language syntax is a way that you speak. Like most people speak the language of disempowerment. Mm-hmm. They talk about what they don't want and what's hurting them. They focus on the bad and who's after them and the enemy, which is really inner you. The thing inner you is eating you alive. There is a way of speaking the language of empowerment. This the language that makes you become free. I'm going to get into this Saturday when I'm doing a class this Saturday. You know what I'm saying? This part 2 of the Sirius opportunity. Part 2 is this Saturday. So make sure you sign up for that because we're going to get into this. There's a rhythm, a cadence that you speak in that keeps tapping you back into those old memories. So you are marching. You have marching orders and it's a rhythm. And you don't know it until you interrupt it. You have to do a pattern interrupt. When you learn these pattern interrupts, everything changes. You see, everything changes. So sometimes when I'm talking, I'm doing a pattern interrupt. Like you say, well, Dr. B, don't do that. You're making me laugh. I'm actually doing a pattern interrupt. I'm helping the people who are listening, who are ready and willing to move some of the toxicity out using laughter, using fun. We've become too serious. I had to get off this tour. I was on this tour with a bunch of herbalists, and all they did was yell at the people. Every city we went to, they was just mad. And y'all eat meat, and y'all such and such. They was just angry. I said, y'all so angry, man. I can't hang with y'all.
The vegan Nazis.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all, man, come on, man. One dude cussed the lady out because she got up. She had a cane and everything. He told, that's because you such a you. And the lady was crying. I said, man, this is insensitive, man. So I had to leave the tour because it was a war. And everybody on the stage was competing with each other. Who can be louder? All I had to do was the levitation. When I would do the levitation at the lectures, that was it. I'm saying, well, let me show you your real power. And we would get people, and I would show them how to lift a man that was maybe 250, 300 pounds and just make him light as a feather and just have him float in the air. That used to take people out. Some of y'all, people on here probably who remember when Dr. B used to always do the levitations. If we do a live, workshop, we'll actually teach people how to do that. But it's your mindset that became a parasite. So that's a mental parasite. So we're going to have to unwind not just the physical parasites power source, but we're also going to have to unwind the big knot of yarn that's holding you from the past. So we're going to work on all of that. So those of you who are ready, willing, and able to step into this new wave, because this wave of energy that's happening right now, it's going to continue. It's the sun, the earth, and Sirius is still affecting us. Mm-hmm. Brother Rich, did you know that when we did our show last week, the earth's magnetic core tore wide open?
I heard about it.
This is why we were talking.
Oh, while we were talking.
Well, we're right in that within that day or so.
Okay.
Blue Pill, he sent me some stuff on it.
He sent me the text. That's how I found out.
What are you talking about? The wave of energy was so strong with Sirius, the sun, and our earth, and us aligned that it cracked the magnetic, not the core, but the wave frequency. It split the energy open for 14 minutes. It's never happened before. The whole earth shifted. The ley lines that are all over the planet, everything shifted. Our whole everything. That was the marker. That was what they told me. They said, wait for it, Doc. You're going to know when it hits. I didn't know what it was. It hit last week. Everything has changed. We're in a whole new place.
Remember, I got a fever that day. Remember, I tell you I was in the sun all day, and that night I got a fever, man. I was down for like a day or two, man.
And what did I tell you?
I remember.
That's the cleansing crisis. People are going through it. Some people are listening saying, yeah, I've been having this. I've been doing that. Some folks have just been asleep for days. Mm-hmm. They haven't woke up totally. Excuse me. A little more tea. Because everything has changed. It's a beautiful opportunity here right now. While everybody's running crazy, talking about it's the end of the world, you know what I'm saying? The sky is falling. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. The boy is crying, wolf, 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 wolf. Oh, this is the time for you to slip through because the gate is open. The farmer left the gate open. There are specific tools that you're going to need to use right now. One of them, right, is, that like we offer our elevated total body program. But another thing is these classes that we're teaching. So there's little small classes that I'm teaching, but there's big classes coming too to allow people to learn the things that were passed down to me that are of extreme value that I couldn't even talk about till now. I had to wait till the right time because, see, we don't understand timing. I'm a drummer. You need to know when to hit the drum. And did you know that when you hit the drum, the way you create timing is you create a gap. So when you go boom, then there's a gap. Then boom, there's a gap. If I lengthen the gap, the beat slows down. If I speed the gap up, the beat goes faster. The gap is where everything happens, in the gap, in between time. In music, they call them ghost notes or grace notes. So we, right now, are rhythmically in a gigantic ghost note. We're in between time. You can get off the calendar. Do you understand what I'm saying? The Gregorian calendar don't work anyway. Why? And who is the Gregorians? Who is Gregory?
I never know what day it is, man. I don't.
It is no day. But some people are counting in the days of the week. The days, DAZE, of the week. WEAK. And you can't wait till the week end. Why you want the weekend? Thank God it's Friday. That's when you get cooked. They're talking about frying fish. You're getting cooked. You get a little time off to go back to the plantation. Somebody brought me some plant-based meat the other day. They had cooked something. I said, what is that? It's plant-based, Dr. B. I know you're going to like it. I know you're going to. I said, well, what do you mean? It's plant-based. I said, well, who made it? And they told me the company that made it. I said, this is plant-based because it was made in a plant. They said, what do you mean? No. It's plant-based. I might as well go eat me a ham hog or something. Ham hog. What is that? At least my body might be able to fight because, genetically my body remembers ham hogs. They don't know what this is. This is genetically modified they grew it. They're growing. They got lab-based meat with nanotechnology, little computers. Microscopic computers that get in you and take over. This is another level of what they call parasite, AI, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, that's not just computers. Some of the intelligence that you got is artificial. You gotta be very careful repeating certain things that you think you know. Because we're learning all again. We're all learning again. Even me, I don't know it all. I got a lot of information, a lot of stuff, but it's about this new experience. It's like this new thing with me coming on this particular show. This is brand new for me. Y'all broke the internet last week. My web guy said he'd never seen nothing about it. I called my web provider. They said, listen, we don't even know. They said, we haven't seen this. I said, well, can you increase the bandwidth? Because I'm going to be working with this brother. They said, you have the largest bandwidth of a website. Your site, you're grandfathered into some deal. I'm like, huh? They said, you have the largest bandwidth. The only thing you could do is get a cloud. I said, huh? They said, you can get a cloud. The same thing they use for mining, when they do the money, never mind. Anyway.
I told you last week, I said, yo, Doc, I think they crashed your website. I told you that.
You let me know, man. I said, come on, man. This brother's joke. He's a jokester, too. You got to watch them cats from New York. They got good jokes. You know what I'm saying? You want to check out some funny folks. These folks will make you laugh. That's why I love going to New York, because folks be having stories. And it's a beautiful. I love New York. I tried to make it there, but, my drumming wasn't good enough. It was cats from, like, Cuba who could play more with one finger and faster with one finger than I could do with both my hands. I said, I got to go to L.A. But when you said that my site was broke, I was like, you can't break. This site is unbreakable. Your folks broke the site. I have been out of stock on some things. I have never been out of stock because I make a certain amount. I know usually what the demand is. I've had to call folks from all over. They said, what's happening? I'm saying, Brother Rich, this brother's on. So you have something that's really special, and I really respect it, and I'm in honor and in awe. And you have a very special group of people. The people who have found you are the folks that I'm talking to a lot of people on the phone. I'm answering the phone. Oh, this folks is on it. Let me tell you, this dude calls. He's probably on the show right now. He calls from Brazil. He's a time maker. I said, what do you mean? He said, I make timepieces. I forgot what he calls what he is. He studies time. So what do you mean you study time? Yeah, I study time. And he started talking about the monatomic elements and the nuclear colliders of the time in between the space and the 5 beat and the trigger hertz and the nigger hertz. And he was on it. He said, man, but you were talking about exactly what I do in your program. He says, you were doing it. He says, I saw, people are listening to the cadence. There's a cadence, there's a rhythm. Once you learn this rhythm, you get in and out of time. I work with time. I'm a musician. You see, I'm more of a musician than anything else. Even when I'm working with herbs, it's music. You see? So it's about, the rhythm that you're creating too. See, like right now, you got that sun behind you and you got the striations of the sun, right? You're creating a whole auric field. You see? You're creating the black, which is the original, the what they call boo, the black original vibration. Magic. The majestics. This is about the majestics, the magi. That's what magic is when you are really in yourself, when you're being yourself, and no matter what they throw at you. See, it's like you being the goose. The goose, they go under the water and grab a fish and come out, they ain't even wet. Have you noticed that? The geese don't get wet. But if somebody says something and does something and you get wet and you get all out of yourself, you're not doing the black magic. You have to be unaffected. And to do that, there's an art to that. There's a rhythm to that. And what we're doing at Elevation Foundation is we're helping people who are ready to reach that next wave, who are, they're ready to leave where we were. See, this ascension thing, and it's not always easy too. You just want to meditate and ascend to the 5th dimension. Bro, you're not going to be in your body. In the 5th dimension, you think you're going to be in your body? Huh? Talking about you in Chicago? You in Detroit? Are you in Atlanta? In the West End? Talking about you dealing with the 5th dimension? Bro, I can see you. The 5th dimension is a whole nother place that don't exist here. This is a 3D thing. So we got to do some 3D things here to clean up. So what we're saying is if you would like to clean up, if you would like to do this thing, if you feel where I'm coming from, because we're saying there's a lot of people, I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people with special knowledge who are online right now. I am not the only one. I work with a lot of people. And even what I'm bringing you right now, I'm not totally saying it's all me. It's a collective. We got to come together, what they call Harambe, coming together. Because when you slap somebody with your open hand, it stings. And they'll probably slap you back. Make a fist and hit somebody, you can cause permanent damage. When the people stop slapping and start coming together with the first goal being love, peace, and turn peace, check this out, we got to convert peace now into wholeness. Because if you got a piece of something, people, I want peace. It is peace on earth. So you're like, that's a little piece of a pie. You don't even get the whole pie. Who came up with that? This thing about peace. You think your subconscious knows the difference between peace and a piece? Having peace and having a piece? We got to become whole. That means we got to use everything. And we got to put that W back on whole. Because see, when they took that W off, they took the feminine essence. It's whole. That's male. You got to put that W back on it again. Whole. The holy books with a W. Then you got to be whole. You just can't tell me part of the story and take all the women out the book. Where's the women in these books? It's always the prophet is a man. He's up, his hair is flowing, his wind blowing on him, and I know such and far. Where's the women at? Without them, you have nothing. So we're in a time where it's about coming together. So in our class on Saturday, for those of you who would like to attend, we're going to talk about things that we can do to help come together. And for those of you who are going to the site, if it has an issue and you see it's not loading, it's because y'all is hitting it hard. So have patience. Yeah, it will come back, because it did come back. I think it was like 22 minutes last week, and it came back. And I was like, whoo. I was calling the web guy and he's asleep. I'm calling folks. I'm calling the headquarters. What's happening? My site is down. but it's patience. Patience is a virtue. Virtue. Just wait for it. Wait for the right time. This is the time. And when you take time and use it correctly and get out of the, half statement. Time is a half of a statement. When you put the other part is emit, you got to turn it backwards. What are you doing with your time? What are you doing? You're just tooting your horn and messing with people because they eat meat or they don't believe in what you believe in. And just because you believe that the Egyptians was that was the beginning and the end of it all. Do you know how many cultures and beings were here before that? Atlantis. That idea of Atlantis came from Europe. What about Lemuria, the land of Mu? Huh? What about Potolo? What about Sigitolo? Huh? What about the places in space that we came from? What about the Nomos, the whales, the dolphins, who are the record keepers? Do you know? And I'm going, I'm calm down because I see, the time is, moving funny.
Yeah, we about to wrap. Did you give him the website one more time?
Elevationtime.com. That's elevationtime, time.com. Elevation Time. And if you go to events, you'll see there's a bunch of workshops and classes. Some of them, were in the past, they replays. Elevationtime.com. And you can also join the class on Saturday, which is going to be from 11 till 3 Eastern Standard Time. Now, when you go in there and register for it, there's a download going to pop up. You got to look at your receipt. There's a little download, and that's what you click on to get into the class. Okay, but let me just say this really quickly. The dolphins can communicate with every dolphin on the planet. One dolphin. They get to a place. It's called the sound channel. It's in the ocean. So you have cold water on the bottom, warm or warmer water at the top. Where the warm water and the cold water come together, it's called the sound channel. When the dolphins and the whales get in the sound channel, they can make a sound. That's why they all have a big snout. It travels around the entire world instantaneously. It's faster than the internet. They all communicate constantly when they get in between space. It's in between the hitting of the drum and the gap. When you're breathing, you inhale and there's a little gap, and then you exhale. That gap, that space, that's where you get to change everything, in the gap. We are in the gap of time right now. 2022. This is the time to get off the train if you choose. There may not be another time because the velocity is picking up too much, because there's a lot of beings here who are losing it. You got to get rid of toxoplasma, get rid of those parasites, mental, physical, and spiritual. And I just want to thank all of you for listening, for being here and being yourself. Be yourself. Become yourself. Become superhuman. We're going to talk about superconductivity on Saturday too, how to become a superconductor and many things. I just want to thank you, Brother Rich, for you're magical, you're wonderful. I honor you. I'm glad we met, and this is a wonderful time to be here and to be doing this. So I want to thank you for all your work, for your family. Much love to your family, the people that made you, and your offspring. And I got a feeling you might be my cousin, because somebody said something the other day that
my son, I named my son Sirius.
See, we're cousins now. See, we're cousins. That's what makes us cousins, right? That's my cousin. Leave my cousin alone. Let me call my cousin. See if he got some good vegetables over there. So
shout out
thank
to
you.
the sister that predicted this. You said sister called you months ago and said, "Yo, Dr. B, you're gonna be on Brother Rich channel, and it's gonna be big." Shout out to that sister, because that's the
sister's from the Nomos people. She's the Nomos.
She's from the Nomos.
She's the Nomos.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if she all the way knows it, because sometimes you don't know that you're the Nomos because you don't know what you know. Yeah. But she's also a noble gas, which is a very special classification of beings. And She's from a special place on the planet, her people.
Mm.
And there's people that call me from different places on the planet before something happens. So it's almost like they live on the event horizon.
Mm.
See, the event horizon is like it's the wave of energy that comes from you. Like when you get ready to strike somebody, it's a thought and it sends a wave out faster than you can move. This is how the martial artist can block the punch.
Man, that's a whole nother you be saying things that's a whole nother 2-hour conversation, man. That's because the question I'm about to ask is enough, man. Listen, man, I can talk to you all day, brother.
Well, listen, just think about it. How are they blocking? You know how fast some of these moves are coming from the martial artist? How does the person know to block it? How did Muhammad Ali know?
Look at Floyd Mayweather.
Before it happened, because they live in a place, a space, in a sound channel that's on the event horizon. That means that just before the sun comes up, you know how you can see the glow of light coming up above the mountains? The sun hasn't arrived, but you can see the event on the horizon. When you get in a certain time space and you get out of time, you can slow the whole thing down. And before the person actually moves or says something, you can capture it. And you can act, react, or resolve very quickly. See, like I said, I was taught by drummers from the continent. They weren't drumming for, parties. And, they were drumming because the drum, my main instrument is the conga. It's about language. It's a language. And once you learn time and rhythm and you're able to apply it to herbology, I'm applying these rhythms to speaking, the way people speak. Everybody has a sound. They speak in a frequency. This is how I knew artists. When I was picking artists in the early 1980s to sign to record deals, I knew they had talent before they even rapped or sang. Nobody could understand how I did this. Nobody could understand how, excuse me, I could predict the sales of a record and how it was going to sell. I had instinct, but I had this as a child. It wasn't blocked. My mother, she didn't block it because she had it too. And my father, he was telling me, you better get a good job. You better go to that school, get good grades. I faked it. But it's about being in the space. So there's people that call me sometimes who live on the event horizon, and they let me know something's about to happen. And this sister don't call me often. She said, Dr. B, I saw you on such and such. Do you know about Brother Rich? I said, Brother Rich? I said, I know him in California. He owed me $50 royalty. He owed me 20 years of $50 royalty checks.
Royalties.
I said, he rich. He got all my money. She said, no, Brother Rich on YouTube. I said, so what's up with him? She says, he's going to call you. His show is the perfect place. Because I do a bunch of shows. You know what I'm saying? I do, I've been doing this for a long time. She said, no, this brother and you. She said, it's like y'all are from the same planet. She said a bunch of little things. She's probably listening. I can't say her name because, could cause a problem.
Definitely.
But she called and says, you're going to be on the Brother Richard show. When you get on that, it's going to hit another wave. So when you called me, and Brother Pill, he called me and said, would you like to be? And I said, yeah, I heard about this. I'm having a precognitive moment. This was on the event horizon. How many things in your life are events that are on the horizon, but you may not know the signs and symbols? You may have so much noise in your head. You may have so much parasitic and paranormal activity going on in your head that you can't hear the call. You don't know when to pick up. You don't know what to say. I mean, people get the caller ID all day long. Why you answer the phone? You know this guy, he's a parasite or she's a parasite. Every time they call, they got problems. Why are you answering the phone? Well, that's my cousin, and that's because it's my cousin. You can divorce them. They're sucking your energy. If you know something's sucking your energy, if it's a job, a relationship, you've got to break the spell. And your language is spelling, and you're spelling yourself, telling yourself what you can't and what you. It's a lot of talk going on, but it's old. You got to be able to vaporize it. Let's get rid of it. There's a lot of events on the horizon, y'all. And I'm sending out the call because they told me I couldn't talk till now anyway. So, not on this level. So I'm doing what I came here to do. Are you ready to do what you came here to do and realign with what your heart is aligned with? What you really love, what really brings you joy? What would you do that if you weren't getting paid for it? I'm having fun. This is talking about how hard it is and how tough. I looked outside, the squirrels are still squirreling. The dandelions are still dandelion. They don't know nothing about this. They live and expand, and what they do is they keep doing what they're doing their very best until the moment for them to leave to the next vibration. They're not worried. Worry is worry. You're warring with yourself. You're involved in World War III. It's in you. And you're worried about what they might do and what they could do. So you're scared, as Dick Gervais says. That's fear. False evidence appearing real. The expectation of loss. It's time to gain, but we've got to let go. And it's a challenge. It's not always easy, but it will be simple. There's once you learn the difference between easy and simple, simple means that there's steps that you take. It's little steps, just like you remember when you first started learning how to program music. You started learning how to use the MPC 60, or you started learning to use Logic. At first, it's a thing that it's the learning curve is steep until you start getting it, and you start remembering it. And if you keep doing it, you get this hypnotic rhythm, and you just got it. If I throw a drum machine in front of you right now, Rich, a MPC 60, which I still got the original one out in LA. If I throw that in front of you right now, you're gonna be able to do a beat in a minute. But when you first got it, it was a challenge. You're scratching your head, man. You're trying to figure out how to sample and how to get rid of the old sample and how to layer sounds. But the more you do it, it becomes simple. But simple has to do with taking one step at a time, one day at a time. If you're eating animal products and toxins and preservatives and things like that, at first it's a challenge because the parasites and your body is craving something that's been eating you. As you begin to break away and get rid of these parasites, they snap. It's folks calling me like, Dr. B, I can't take it, screaming and hollering. Then all of a sudden it's like they have an exorcism and they wake up. Because you could want and desire something all your life, but until you begin to really use the natural motivation, once you become inspired on an intimate level, once you become focused on a goal, no matter what the storm is, all of a sudden it picks up velocity. And it may be tough climbing that mountain at first, but then you start going down the other side. Be ready to be challenged. This is the time to break free. The door is open. The gate is open. It's elevation time. It's elevation time. And make sure you get on our email list, because if you're on the email list, there'll be notifications. We got a bunch of things coming up now because, Brother Rich done opened up a door and folks are asking me for a lot. Folks are calling from all over the world. Your show is on, man. Your show is on all over the planet. You're sending a pulse wave of love, peace, and harmony and information everywhere. And whatever I can do to support what you're doing and what other people are doing that's going to change the rhythm here, I'm with it. But I can't get involved with everybody. I don't care how good it sounds. It's not about the money all the time. It's about the event horizon and the gateway being open. And right now we're in the Sirius date gateway. It's a stargate, y'all, where you can cause yourself to go to a new universe, a new universe, a new rhythm, a new place, a new dimension. So thank you very much, brother.
Solar God, I'm gonna save you a question. I'm gonna have him on for part 3 next week, family. We gotta do it. We gotta the trifecta. We gotta do the part 3. Part 3, I think, is gonna be and I'm gonna put this question in next week, Solar God. But we're gonna be talking about the mycelium network, space in the mycelium network. So it's gonna be it's gonna be powerful.
Yes.
But we getting out of here, family. My son refuses to go to sleep. Chaos right now with Sirius. I guess he hears us talking about him or something. I don't know. But listen, amazing show. Amazing show. The people stayed here to listen. It's still over 3,000 people here. They stayed here. Usually after an hour, people get bored and they leave, man. They here. We could be on 4 more hours and these people ain't going nowhere. So listen, this was a magical night, family. Enjoy it. I appreciate Dr. B. I'm gonna call you tomorrow, brother. A lot of things just listen to you. I want to talk to you about on the phone. Appreciate everybody for listening. Make sure you support the channel. Hit up the Cash App family and show support for the only channel that's holding it down like this, bringing this type of information. You can go to Cash App, $Black Magic 363. Dr. Phil Valentine will be on tomorrow. And I probably will have Wayne Chandler on Friday. So I'm not sure. I got to call him. Shout out to my brother Asir and his wife Selena, because I'm going to order some stuff from her website tonight. Selena Cordoba Organics. I'm going to order some stuff from her site tonight, and I want to get that brother on here soon. So I got an action-packed week coming up, but Dr. B is going to be on next week. We moving strong all 2022. I told y'all this year was going to be a real strong metaphysical year. Dr. B just confirmed everything I've been telling y'all all year as far as the metaphysics and how this channel's moving. And on that, anything else you want to say before we get out of here, Dr. B?
Tell Dr. Phil I said what's happening. You know, we used to lecture together in LA. I used to have a radio show and he was a guest, and you know, we've done some work together in the past, and that's my brother too. He's got, everybody has a piece.
Yeah.
You see, everybody has a piece, and everybody has, is an instrument in an orchestra. And Indeed. It's just beautiful to see that this is the time. Don't get caught up. Don't let them tell you. Don't let the parasites and the farmer, right? And the farm that you don't see start telling you how bad it is. Because if something is really bad, something is really good. Everything is tied to its opposite. Focus on who you truly are by getting rid of the parts of you that are not you. Thank you very much, brother. Travel light. We don't need all that luggage. It's elevation time. Let's ride.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll call you tomorrow, Doc.
All right.
Peace, family.